Ralph Vacchiano from Fox Sports just confirmed that DK Metcalf is available, and there is one team in the entire NFL that has the cap space, the vision, and the exact quarterback to make this trade happen. That team is Washington, 6'4", 232 pounds, 4'3" in the 40. Next to Jaden Daniels, next to Terry McLaurin, burgundy and gold. And if you think that is the biggest thing happening in Ashburn this week, just wait, because there is a move in the secondary that Dan Quinn has been waiting months to make, and it has Trevon Diggs written all over it, a player who knows exactly how Quinn's system works, because it was Quinn who turned him into the best ball hawk in the entire NFL. But before we get there, there is an uncomfortable truth about this roster that Grant Paulson dropped on 106.7 The Fan this week that nobody in the DMV wants to process. Terry McLaurin is 30 years old, one injury, and everything Adam Peters has built falls apart if another legitimate receiver does not show up in that room. That name exists. That conversation is active, and we are having it today. If you trust Adam Peters and his process, hit that like button and subscribe. The real Commander Nation stays until the end. Raise hail. Real possibility or total madness? Listen to this carefully. Ralph Vacchiano from Fox Sports, a beat reporter with real access, not some Twitter analyst, just dropped a trade proposal that literally made me pause what I was watching and stand up. The Commanders send Pittsburgh a 2026 third-round pick, the 71st overall, and a 2027 fifth-rounder. And in return, DK Metcalf walks through the door, 6'4", 232 pounds, 4.3 in the 40, two-time Pro Bowl, ex-All-Pro, the same guy who in 2020 ran down Budda Baker from behind to save a touchdown. That DK Metcalf here in Washington. Now, I get the skepticism, and I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all because that's how we do it here. Last season in Pittsburgh with Aaron Rodgers was underwhelming. 59 catches, 850 yards, 6 touchdowns. For DK's standards, that's a disappointment. But you know what's interesting? That wasn't a DK problem. That was an Aaron Rodgers problem. A 42-year-old quarterback who can no longer launch the ball downfield with the velocity and accuracy that a receiver like Metcalf needs to detonate. Now put that next to Jaden Daniels, 22 years old. An arm that gets better every single season. The mobility to extend plays and find DK when coverage breaks down. The football IQ to read the defense and attack man coverage when the corner on the other side is too busy trying to stop McLaurin. Good luck with that, by the way. Do y'all see the problem this creates for defenses? You've got McLaurin on one side, the same receiver who in his best season pulled in 13 touchdowns and earned second-team All-Pro honors. And on the other side, you've got DK Metcalf, a physical freak who doesn't even need separation because he just runs through corners. Bro, that is a problem no defensive coordinator in the NFC East wants on their prep sheet. Now let's talk about the uncomfortable part, the contract. DK has 3 years and over $100 million remaining. His 2026 cap hit is $31 million. That's real money. That's a lot. But here's the key detail Vacchiano highlighted that most people are glossing over. The Commanders have cap space. They are one of the very few teams in the entire league that can absorb that number without blowing up the roster. Adam Peters has been meticulous with the finances since day one in Ashburn. This is exactly the scenario he was building toward, and the picks, a third and a fifth. Yeah, it stings a little. Washington only has 6 picks this year, but hear me out. Picks are assets you use to acquire players. DK Metcalf has already proven he's an elite player. You're not betting on potential. You're buying proven production at a discount price because Pittsburgh is entering rebuild mode and they need to move that contract. The Pittsburgh factor matters too. If the Steelers move on from Rodgers this summer, why do they need DK? They already traded for Michael Pittman. Their needs shift. And if Rodgers stays, but the team decides to go young, DK gets trapped in a losing project at age 30. Why not send him to a winning situation? Listen, this might not happen. The probability is still low, but the fact that Vacchiano is writing about it means conversations are happening. It means teams are asking questions. And if there is one front office in the NFL with the vision, the space, and the perfect need to make this move, it's Adam Peters in Ashburn. Jaden Daniels with DK Metcalf and Terry McLaurin. Fam, that's not just an offense. That's a public health emergency for NFC secondaries. And speaking of bringing players back into the right system, there's another name on the market that fits perfectly into what Quinn is building in the Washington secondary. Trevon Diggs, two-time Pro Bowl, 11 interceptions in 2021, first-team All-Pro, the same guy who, for years, was literally the nightmare of every offensive coordinator in the NFC East, and right now in April 2026, he's a free agent. The story of how he got here is complicated. To put it gently, Dallas cut him at the end of last season after Diggs, among other things, didn't board the team's flight home after the game against Washington in Maryland. Literally, the man did not get on the plane. Look, I'm not going to say too much about that, but that's a choice, man. The Packers claimed him on waivers, but his contract had no remaining guarantees, so that situation was temporary. The result, Diggs hits the 2026 free agent market with his reputation bruised, his recent stats under scrutiny, and an ACL tear from 2023 that still raises real durability questions. In 2025, he didn't record a single interception. 0. For someone who once led the entire NFL in pickoffs, that hurts to say, but here's the real argument, Dan Quinn. Because it was Quinn, as defensive coordinator in Dallas, who built the system where Diggs became the best ball hawk in the league. Quinn understands exactly how to deploy Diggs' strengths. The aggressive zone concepts, the freedom to take smart risks, the quarterback anticipation that Diggs does better than almost any active corner, all of that worked under Quinn. All of that broke down the moment Quinn left and Diggs stayed in a system that was no longer his. Now the system comes back. The question is whether the player comes back with it. From Washington's side, the need is real. The Commanders' secondary was one of the weakest units on defense in 2025. They forced almost no turnovers. Coverage was inconsistent, and with Bobby Wagner still anchoring the linebacker room and the defensive front working well with Newton, Kinlaw and Payne, the missing piece in the puzzle, is clearly in the defensive backfield. A one-year, low-risk deal for a 27-year-old who knows the system and knows the head coach. If Diggs gives you 70% of what he was at his peak, that secondary improves significantly, and if it doesn't work out, Washington isn't locked into a long-term financial commitment. Look, I could be wrong. Maybe Diggs' body just isn't what it was. Maybe the injuries changed him permanently. But the logic of the move is sound. The need exists, and the Quinn connection is too real to ignore. If Peters makes that call this week, somebody text me, because Burgundy and Gold needs ball hawks in that secondary, and Diggs, playing with something to prove, could be exactly that. And all of this, Metcalf, Diggs, the offseason additions, it all connects directly to what Grant Paulson from 106.7 The Fan said this week. Something a lot of people don't want to hear, but it's the most uncomfortable truth about this current roster. The Washington Commanders right now are one Terry McLaurin injury away from having one of the worst skill position groups in the entire NFL. One injury. Think about that. Peters has made 15 signings this offseason. He brought in Van Jefferson, Diami Brown, tight end Chig Okonkwo. Those are depth pieces, role players. Nobody on that list is a threat that defenses have to specifically game plan to stop. If McLaurin goes down, who is the WR1? Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane. With all the respect to the world, that is not a playoff roster. McLaurin is 30 years old. He's coming off a season where nagging injuries kept him from being the 13-touchdown receiver we know he can be. And on top of that, there are reports that this could be his last year in Washington if he doesn't make Peters pull the trigger on an extension. That's a lot of pressure to put on one receiver. Brandon Ayuk sounds great. The 49ers are taking their time releasing him, but the noise keeps getting louder. That would help. The draft would help too, and we'll get into all of that in tomorrow's video. But in the meantime, Peters needs to make a move, because pointing to the draft as the solution while McLaurin is out there running routes solo as your only real weapon isn't strategy. That's just hoping nothing bad happens, and in the NFL, something bad always happens. Raise hail, but also Adam Peters, please make another move at wide receiver, because Jaden Daniels deserves real weapons around him, and the DMV deserves better than crossing their fingers. Waiting 3 stories, a trade that could change this offense forever, a cornerback chasing redemption under the coach who made him great, and a warning that Peters needs to act on before draft night arrives. This is just the beginning, fam. The draft is weeks away, Ayuk is still in the air, and Washington has the cap space, the vision, and the right quarterback to build something truly special in the DMV. If this fired you up as much as it fired me up, drop that like right now. Not for the algorithm, to show the rest of the league that the DMV is locked in and paying attention. And tell me down below, do you make the Metcalf trade? Or do you wait on Ayuk? I want to read every single response. Raise hail, y'all.